Most brands think that they have a strategy, but what they actually have is a product release list. Today, I'm going to show you how to fix that so you stop bleeding sales and start building momentum to create a brand that scales. Every brand has a product release schedule, but I've seen far too few that have an effective brand calendar that they use to drive strategy. Too many brands just list products and release dates, no structure, no brand story. The strong brands that consistently win at the highest levels use their brand calendar to tell their brand story, build rhythm, and create alignment from production to marketing to sales and even distributors. Without that system in place, you're just winging it, and that does not scale. This is where a strong brand strategy starts. Not in your tap room, not on your Instagram, right here. It's the foundation for everything that your brand does at scale. Let's talk about the quickest way to kill your brand's momentum. It's trend chasing. I know how tempting it can be to chase the new hot trend or latest gimmick to create a quick sales bump that drives revenue and boosts your cash flow. But chasing those new hot trends erodes trust. It creates noise, and in a crowded market, that makes your brand hard to engage with and easy to forget. It doesn't matter how good your product is if it's incredibly hard for the average consumer to engage with it and build that familiarity and trust. At this point in the beverage segment, quality product is just table stakes. It's no longer enough to stand out or differentiate in the market. Most brands do not fail because they make bad product. They fail because they lack the structure to create sustainable and scalable engagement and trust with consumers. Brands that win at scale build consistent rhythm. They don't chase, they reinforce. They focus on long-term wins over short-term noise. Is the short-term sales boost and cash bump nice? Sure. But the most successful brands are militantly focused on what will help them win in the long term. This calendar from Blake's Hard Cider, that's not just a production schedule. It's a trust-building brand engagement machine. It lays the foundation for everybody involved in the process to be able to easily engage with and build that trust in the brand. Distributors know what to expect, retailers know how to support and sell your brand, and consumers are empowered to know who and what your brand is so that they can build familiarity and trust necessary to become loyal customers. When your sales teams, distributors, retailers, and consumers all know what to expect, your brand starts showing up with consistency and clarity. In a crowded market, that is the difference between success and failure. A brand calendar is your map for everything that your brand does. It's the blueprint for how your entire organization will execute on a daily basis. It's the foundation for your entire brand strategy. But that map means nothing without a plan to execute. This summer programming from Blake's, it's the high-level brand strategy layer built on top of a strong brand calendar. It takes the production schedule and builds on it with effective strategy. It creates a blueprint for distribution partners to execute your brand successfully in the market and empowers them to become the best and most effective force multipliers for your success possible. You show the distributor how to sell, when to promote, and what to expect. That's clarity. Your distributors need to know what success looks like, and they need to know how to make that success a reality. Distributors have portfolios packed with brands that present a confusing or even non-existent strategy. When you give them a clear plan to make success a reality, it differentiates your brand in the best way possible and makes distributors extremely motivated to want to support and invest in your brand's success. When you force distributors to guess as to how to execute your brand, you guarantee that your brand becomes an afterthought in a portfolio. It also gives retailers a clear picture of what to expect from your brand. It effectively communicates who and what your brand is. It gives consumers an easy, consistent, and effective way to engage with the brand. Consumers have a much easier time getting a feel for what the brand is, as well as what they can expect from the brand, which in a crowded market is incredibly crucial. Consistency is so key here. Think about some of the most successful craft brands and how they do exactly this. Sam Adams became an industry giant because consumers came to expect and rely on Sam Adams Summer Ale coming out in late spring and their Oktoberfest coming out in late summer. They built trust with consumers, and consumers continued to come back to the brand because of it. They removed as much friction as possible for consumers to choose their brand, making the buying process easy and efficient. Doing this turns your SKUs into systems, and systems are what scale. That's what real successful beverage brands are built on. When your brand starts showing up with clarity, you empower sustainable engagement, growth, and scale from everybody involved in the process. The most important thing to remember here is that your brand calendar is not just a release schedule. It's a reinforcement tool for your brand's identity and strategy. Every single release is either building your brand or blurring it. Remember that if a product on your brand calendar does not tie back to your brand's core identity and message, you're diluting and blurring your brand. And in a crowded market, you cannot afford to do that. Too often, founders fall into the trap of thinking, let's try something new because we need a quick sales bump. But new without strategy is just noise. And once again, in an increasingly crowded and competitive market, that spells doom. What worked 5 to 10 years ago does not work anymore. That means that novelty is not enough to stand out and sustain growth in today's market. Reinforce your identity and message with every product release, launch, and programming initiative, or you're diluting your brand and getting passed up by your competition. The brands that win at the highest levels consistently do not do so by accident. It's crucial to realize that sustainable sales velocity does not come from randomness. It comes from rhythm. I see this time and time again when working with brands. They are frustrated by the fact that their rate of sale is not high enough. Instead of creating and implementing an effective long-term strategy and then sticking to that strategy, they panic. They chase short-term fixes and short-term sales bumps, unaware that this approach is leaving them worse off in the long term. It's like getting stuck in quicksand. The harder you fight it, the deeper you sink. Winning brands operate like metronomes. Predictable, consistent, reliable. It may not be sexy, but it works in the long run. The key here that almost nobody speaks to is that you have to believe in your brand's long-term strategy. You have to believe in who and what your brand is. And you have to be willing to trust that through a gap in positive feedback or results while you build your brand, execute your long-term strategy, and wait for that momentum to take hold and build. If you are not confident in who and what your brand is, you need to start by fixing that, because that is your real problem. Distributors are more willing to engage, invest, and create scale more effectively when they know what to expect and how to make success a reality. When you don't know who and what your brand is and you don't believe in your brand, your distributors can't and won't either. A strong brand calendar creates the foundation for that belief. It empowers you to go to distribution partners knowing exactly who and what your brand is, what success looks like, and how you are going to partner with those distributors to make that success a reality. Retailers also sell better when they know how to engage with your brand and how to support it. They can communicate that identity and messaging to their customers, and they are more likely to support a brand that they know what to expect from. Don't forget that retailers are building a business too, and they need that consistency and trust before they can believe in your brand's ability to add value to their business. This is how your brand becomes a movement and not just another label on a crowded shelf. If your product strategy feels scattered, the answer is not more SKUs, it's more structure. You don't need another new idea. You need a plan that aligns your team, energizes your distributors, and gives your brand clear direction. That's what we build. Real strategy, real systems, real scale. Let's build something extraordinary together. Check out our website at 5starbeverage.com or feel free to send us an email at info@5starbeverage.com.